I'm Jonathan Ortmans, and I'm with Global Entrepreneurship Week. Global Entrepreneurship Week is challenging to understand in some respects because it's 35,000 events happening at the same time in 125 different countries. Global Entrepreneurship Week offers you the opportunity to come and test your aptitude. Join a networking event. Come and meet a mentor. Come and experience a boot camp. Come and experience some other element of the startup community in your city, in your town, and learn about whether or not at some point in your life you may have the interest and the skill to be able to join a startup. And I think this has been effective in allowing people to feel that they're not only driving more of their fellow citizens to consider the path of entrepreneurship in their own countries, but they're learning and participating with people from other nations. It's really in the hearts and the minds of the individuals in each of these countries. There's a way that now we think entrepreneurs might be the force for change in their countries for things beyond just economic change, that they can actually make the world a better place. The field of entrepreneurship is no longer something of narrow commercial significance. It's something of more cultural consequence. It's something that represents the possibility of human endeavor for the benefit of all. The globalization of startup communities actually gives the world a much better chance at solving some of the intractable challenges of the decades past. So in a sense, we see more citizens trying their hand at helping the world innovate its way out of its challenges. The world needs more entrepreneurs. It's a question of inspiring more people to recognize that it's more important to the future of their societies than they previously recognized. Global Entrepreneurship Week is an idea bigger than all of the communities that make it up, and it represents something that we can all aspire to, which is to be part of one global community of people ferreting out better ways of doing things and improving the lives of our citizens.
Welcome, Georgia, to Global Entrepreneurship Week, and thank you for taking a look at our new sketchbook. You know, as we develop now this campaign in 128 countries, we've had to use technology a lot more to be joining the various communities that are engaging in our global campaign to support entrepreneurs and to get more citizens of our countries ferreting out better ways of doing things. I wanted to briefly say welcome to Global Entrepreneurship Week to all of you in Georgia, and to send you also another short sketch. You know, at the Kauffman Foundation, we're really trying to understand a little more about the science of startups. What makes them succeed? What makes them grow? How do we help them more effectively? There's many people trying to help entrepreneurs. We need to find more prudent ways of doing it. And there's a few things we're learning. We're learning, for example, that it's important that new firms remain as lean as long as they can and take as little outside capital as they possibly can for as long as they can. We're learning that networks are ever so important, perhaps more important than anything else, as a path towards finding investors, finding individuals with unique knowledge of industries that can help a new entrant into the marketplace who wants to come in with a disruptive idea, turn it into an innovation. And we're learning also that it's vital that entrepreneurs understand that this is a social experience. It's about teams. It's not about individuals anymore. It's not about institutions or governments. It's about bottom-up teams of individuals going through a process of what we call co-founder dating, finding the right people with the right skill sets and the right temperaments, and marrying themselves together for the purposes of birthing the new, of creating a new idea, putting it into the marketplace. So we look at these lessons and we say, what can we do to help foster all of this? And at the end of the day, I think there's one message we wanted to leave you with today. And that is, it's vital that you build healthy, robust startup communities, that they occur in neighborhoods and in boroughs rather than in cities or in counties. They could need to be as local as possible. And we think it's ever so important that we look at these communities is being created and driven and led by the entrepreneurs themselves. And to leave you with a parting sketch, I wanted to turn to my colleague Brad Feld. If you like what he has to say over the next couple of minutes, take a look at his book. But it's about how do we, across the globe, find a more effective way to build startup communities. Thank you for having me. Good luck this week with Global Entrepreneurship, and I hope that you will join us at our global celebration of all of the nations and their delegations who participated this year in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil on the week of March 18th. You're all welcome to join us. Thank you very much, and here's Brad Feld.
I'm Brad Feld, a partner at Foundry Group, the venture capital firm in Boulder, Colorado. If you go back to the industrial era, everything ran in a hierarchy. Businesses had a boss, and people worked for the boss, and you worked your way up the hierarchy. As we evolved from industrial society to information society, we started to see some changes. In entrepreneurship, especially at the very early stages, there is no hierarchy. If the hierarchy tries to drive the startup community, it essentially stifles it. The hierarchy is really collapsing, and many, many, many more aspects of what we do are behaving as a network. This was the starting point for thinking about how startup communities evolve. What I came to was a thesis that I call the Boulder thesis that has 4 parts, and those 4 parts are essential for a sustainable, vibrant startup community anywhere in the world. First, it has to be led by entrepreneurs. I define the universe into 2 categories of people, leaders and feeders. The leaders in this context are entrepreneurs, and the feeders are everyone else that participates in the startup community. University, government, venture capital investors, angel investors, service providers, lawyers, accountants, etc. The feeders have very important roles. They become part of the fabric of the startup community, but the feeders can't be leaders. The leaders have to be entrepreneurs. Second is entrepreneurs have to take a very long-term view. It's a generational view, 20 plus years. It's people who are making a long-term commitment to invest heavily in the development of their startup community. The right cliche is that you're running a marathon, not a sprint. In a startup community, over a long period of time, you're going to have some extraordinary successes, as well as some really huge failures. When somebody's incredibly successful, that person is still part of that startup community. When somebody's a failure, have a wake, move on, reincorporate them into other things. You're essentially saying it's okay. It's just part of the process. Third is you have to have a philosophy of inclusiveness. It's not just other entrepreneurs, but anybody who's interested in being part of this startup ecosystem. If everybody contributes energy into the startup community, it'll get bigger and grow faster and be more successful and be more fun. And the fourth is you have to have activities and events that engage the entire entrepreneurial stack. Those activities and events need to be more substantive than an award dinner or a cocktail party. They have to be things like an accelerator program like Techstars that engages the entire community in helping a set of startups get going. Or something like Startup Weekend that's essentially a simulation of entrepreneurship. So those 4 pieces are essential for the long-term health of a startup community. It's just this sort of network chaos of entrepreneurs doing what entrepreneurs do, which is create things. That force of the entrepreneurs to build something bigger than just themselves and their company is so incredibly powerful.